Hello and welcome to Raw Chatter. I am your host, Vicky Midwood, speaking. It is a cold and frosty morning here in the UK, 7th of January 2025. I love saying that, do 2025. I have to say, I'm quite excited about this year because I'm going to be celebrating 20 years since I got my first taste of really truly understanding what it is to be free from addiction in 2005. And I have to say, it's just gone so quickly. But I say that about the fact that I've been a fitness instructor since 1991. And I remember the first time I hit over double figures of being a fitness instructor. I was just like, wow, who'd have thought it back in the 90s when I trained that I'd still be doing this job, and I'm still doing it all of these years later. So I am one happy bunny today because what I wanted to share with you perhaps is something. This is a short one, by the way. I haven't got a guest. I've got some great guests coming up later on in the month. Next week's a cracker. I've not just got one guest, I've got two, talking about how we can help people in the mental health space in a much better way in the addiction space than we are now. But I want to talk about skills today. It's something that's cropped up over the holidays. So for a lot of people, the holidays has been time out to recharge and to reset and what have you. For me, the holidays is always when I am on call, if you like. I am ready and willing and able to help my clients, because often Christmas, New Year, family gatherings is the time when a lot of our old thoughts, traumas, behavior patterns, triggers crop up, and we may find ourselves going back to turning to food for comfort. Perhaps for those of you who are new in your recovery from bulimia, you potentially have fallen back into an old pattern when you're under pressure and under stress. And I want to say, if you have, please be kind to yourself, because anything that we do in terms of going against perhaps what we were hoping is just a way of helping us learn more about ourselves. And that's what I want to touch on a little bit today. It's about understanding ourselves and creating the skills that we need. So one thing that's come up frequently is that the majority, is it fair to say 100%? I think it is. 100% of the people that I work with have got a deficiency in certain skills that we require for life. Now, would it be fair to say that actually the majority of the population have got some kind of deficiency in life skills? Do you know what? I think it is. But there are some skills that are vitally important, especially if you are somebody who is wanting to recover permanently and sustainably to improve your health, your well-being in every area, from addictive habits or just habits that you know aren't serving you and haven't done for a long, long time. And those skills are something that perhaps you don't know that you need to work on. So what are they? Well, here's the thing. It's going to be different for everybody, but for the majority of people, we need to upskill in terms of our emotional regulation and our emotional intelligence. That's being aware of what our feelings are and how to put those feelings into words. And it's not an easy skill. It takes practice, and that's the point of a skill. Okay, we talk about yoga practice, don't we? Because the idea is that you're not going to ever be perfect at it. But if you practice it on a daily basis, you're going to get multiple different benefits. And it's not about reaching one specific goal. It's about making incremental, minute changes over time that mean that each time you aim to do a specific pose, it feels more comfortable. It feels easier to get there. And that's what a skill is. It's something that you learn. Life skills are something that ideally should have been programmed into us between the ages of 0 and 7. Now, for the majority of us who have turned to food, to alcohol, to changing our body shape and size in the deluded idea that if we look a certain way or at a certain weight, everything else in our world will be great. For those who've turned to gambling or to shopping or to porn addiction. All of those things, when we use those to help us to manage our emotions, or to just push our emotions to one side, or to numb out, or to forget any of the issues or problems that we perceive are going on in our life, real or imagined. If we turn to something else, what we do is we arrest our skills, whatever age you were that you started to use those things. And you don't necessarily know that this is happening. But for me, my skills for life were pretty much arrested at age 11, which is when I really started down my road of addictive habits and processes. If I'm honest, I think potentially it was before then, because my sugar addiction kicked in when I was like 5. And I've shared this before. Post my tonsils being removed, my sugar addiction really took a hold, and I didn't know back then that it was biochemical, to do with my gut bugs, etc., etc. But I've shared that before, and I'm not going to go into that, because that's not what this is about. This podcast episode is about you recognizing that we need to work on our skills. Our skills of communication, our skills of being able to regulate and manage and respond rather than react emotionally, both for ourselves, but also for other people, if we want to create great friendships and great relationships with our family, and potentially have a partner in our lives if we haven't got one, or just make our relationships with our partner feel more fulfilling and less upsetting, disappointing, etc., etc., however you may be at the moment. What we've got to recognize is that the majority of people who are turning to substances to feel better, to cope with life, it's a solution, right? It's a solution to something that we perceive as a problem. I don't have the skills to deal with this feeling. I don't have the skills to deal with this emotion. I don't have the skills to be able to process what that person said to me and how I can make it less hurtful or less personal. I don't have these skills. So I'm going to go over here to try to make myself feel better, right? And what it does is it means that I never get the skills to be able to do those things. And that, unfortunately, is what my story was. And it's pretty much the story of everybody that I work with. We learn coping mechanisms, whatever our circumstances at home may be. And sometimes they are to do with keeping your mouth shut and not saying what you want to say. Sometimes they are to do with certain behavior patterns that you shouldn't be doing at your age, but you have to, because you want to avoid upset or controversy or just being picked upon. There's multiple reasons and multiple circumstances why we turn to certain solutions to help us to cope with life. But what that does is mean that we've missed out on creating the skills that we actually need as adults to be able to manage what life throws at us. And if we are parents, or if we're not yet, but we want to be parents, it's vital that you learn these skills, and being able to be aware of what your emotions are, recognizing that you can take charge of them. They don't have to take charge of you. And understanding that a feeling is just a feeling. It's not a fact, and you don't have to act on it, right? And you don't have to push it away or think of it as being bad or terrible, and you don't have to be guilty about feelings. A feeling is just an emotional sensation, a thought, a feeling within your body, a combination of the two. But ultimately, it changes consistently because it's energy. And that is what it is. It's giving you information, and it is energy. And that's what our feelings are. They're telling us something about ourselves through thoughts. And if you think about it, thoughts just tend to be questions. Thoughts tend to be questions that we ask ourselves, and then lead to certain feelings that then lead to certain behaviors. Now, when we don't have the skills to be able to manage our feelings and our thoughts, we tend to find coping skills that potentially lead us down the road of addiction, which means that we have to, when we put those addictive habits or patterns down, whether that's excessive worry, whether it's overthinking, whether it's people pleasing, whether it's alcohol or food or whatever it is that is your go-to solution that you think is helping you to feel better about yourself and therefore to do life. When you don't have that, This is part of the reason why we feel scared and we feel it's going to be too hard, because it's known and it's familiar, and we don't have the skills yet to be able to do life. Communication is a key one of those skills that people need to learn. Not just communication with others in a way that is not childlike, in a way that is not arrogant or rude, but communication that's clear and concise, that specifically talks about you, but not in a demanding, selfish way, and doesn't poke the finger or judge or make other people feel bad or small or irrelevant or stupid or whatever else. So communicating really well is a skill that the majority of people don't get taught in their childhoods, because their parents don't know how to do it, or their grandparents don't know how to do it. And they're certainly not taught it at school, unfortunately. At school, you are communicated to by people telling you what to do. And you're not allowed in many schools to have your own thoughts and opinions. And if you do share them, often they're shut down, or you're told that you're wrong, even though an opinion is just an opinion. And so we learn some very incorrect facts, beliefs, values through our childhoods that make it even harder for us to be able to create that skill of communicating clearly. So communication is one, emotional intelligence is the other one that people need to help themselves to be able to recognize. Emotions don't have to be scary unless you decide they are. Feelings don't have to take over your being unless you decide you're going to allow them to. And I'm using words like let and allow, because you might not feel that they're within your choice to have or to not have. But once you recognize what they are and you name them, you can tame them. In other words, you can decide whether you're going to let them take over your world or whether you're not, whether you're just going to see them as another energy in motion, emotion, right? And let it pass. The other skill that we need to help people who are coming out of looking to external things for solutions to help them to do life is looking at being radically honest. And that is a skill that many people don't have, because they are worried that if they tell the truth, they're going to hurt people's feelings, or they're going to be looked down upon or judged in some way. So again, it's about ego. It's about you caring more about what other people think of you rather than you actually being honest. And there's a lot of confusion, I think, around honesty. Radical honesty doesn't mean that you're rude. It doesn't mean that you're an asshole. It doesn't mean that you're a judgmental so-and-so. It just means that you stop lying to yourself. Stop believing that not telling somebody the whole truth isn't a lie. It is. If you're leaving bits out of a story because you want to save someone's feelings, then we have to question, is it a lie? Now, are there some circumstances where it's not beneficial for you to be radically honest with somebody else? Yes, I believe that there are, right? If you're speaking about a third party to somebody else, then I think you should keep your mouth shut, because it's none of your business, personally. Don't talk about other people behind their back, and certainly don't spread gossip and rumors unless you actually know the absolute truth, because you were there. Because if you're spreading stories and lies, they are lies, about what went on, you don't know. You're just repeating stuff. And we know Chinese whispers, things get changed. But crucially, the number one person that you need to stop lying to is yourself. Because as addicts, we're excellent at coming up with justifications and reasons why we said what we said, why we did what we did. But often that is just a lie dressed up with a big bow, right? And here's the thing, your brain knows when you're lying to yourself. The majority of people I work with struggle with self-belief, self-esteem, trusting themselves, right? Not speaking to themselves like they are less than. But here's the thing, if you know that you are lying to yourself and your brain knows that you are lying to yourself, well, of course you're not going to trust yourself. We don't trust liars, do we? Okay, so you're setting yourself up to not allow yourself to trust yourself if you keep on telling yourself lies. And the majority of addicts, especially when they first started with me, don't even know that they're lying, and often lie about things that actually pointless to even lie about, but it's become such a habit. And this phrase, like little white lies, well, it doesn't really matter. Well, okay, if it doesn't really matter, so why lie about it then in the first place? Because you know. So we've got to learn the skill of being honest, right? And that doesn't mean being honest for honest's sake, just to like make a stand or be seen to be controversial. It just means when asked a question, be honest. Doesn't mean you go out of your way to hurt somebody's feelings, but it also doesn't mean that you tell an out and out lie, because it can get you into trouble, particularly when it comes to lying about other people. And I've seen this happen so many times where people have managed to get themselves into a situation with somebody who they don't really want to be with and be around, because they lied to start with, and then they couldn't get out of that initial lie, so they had to keep on lying. Lying doesn't serve you, whether you're lying about your use of drugs or alcohol or porn or food or what you're doing to yourself or to somebody else. You know, and it's one of the skills that you need to practice, because you practice being really good at it. You practice hiding your addiction, you practice lying about it or the extent of it or how you were doing it, right? And you practiced it so much that you genuinely believe your own lies. There comes the challenge. So today, I want you to get honest with yourself and look at the skills that you know you need to work on. Do you know that you need to work on your communication skills? A giveaway is if you lose your temper quickly and start shouting. That means you're not in control of your emotions. A giveaway is if you're unable to ask for what you need and you say yes just to make life easy or to appease somebody else so they don't feel upset. That means you're not telling the truth to yourself or to them, and it means that you're not able to communicate very well. You also will know when you're lying to yourself. So get honest, start practicing it, and start being aware of your feelings and your emotions, because they are just energy in motion and they will pass if you let them. And that's the key. If you want to be free of addictive habits, the hidden addictions that keep you stuck, like anxiety and worry and people pleasing and overthinking and procrastinating, or the bigger ones like food and body issues, restricting, over-exercising, bulimia, addiction to medications, whether that's over the counter or prescription, drugs, porn, phones, whatever it is, if you genuinely want to find freedom, you've got to recognize the work isn't just putting the substance down and stopping the habit. The work is creating and practicing the skills to be able to do life so that you don't need to go to those things as a solution anymore. And that is what I help you to do. I help you to find freedom from those things by helping you to understand and define what are your current habits, what are your current skills, where do we need to realign, define, and actually help you to let go of what's not serving you so you can make space for practicing the skills that you need so that you don't have to stay to self-sabotage and in addiction. So if you do want help finding freedom for life, not just for the short term, but for life, then please do reach out for a chat, folks. I do not charge to have a chat. Tell me what is going on for you. There is no judgment. It's a safe space when you speak to me, and I can actually point you in the right direction of where to go in terms of the first steps if you want to try to do things on your own, or I can talk to you about what it looks like to work with me, or if I'm not the right person for you, I can certainly help to point you in the direction of other people who may be able to help you with your specific issue. Don't struggle alone, folks. It's 2025 now. If you don't know this already, I'm going to shout it out loud. Asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness. Not asking for help, that's a sign of a fixed mindset. It's a sign of arrogance. It's a sign of ego. It's a sign of you deciding that you want to stay stuck. So ask for help. If you want to get free from what you're doing, ask for help from somebody who's been where you are, who can help you to avoid the pitfalls and get there in a way that is in the easiest way for you. It's not to say it's easy, but the easiest way instead of the hardest way for you. So if that sounds like something that you do want, or it sounds like there's somebody in your life who could do with that, then point them in my direction, folks. You can connect with me via my website or on socials. All of the links are in the show notes or in the description on YouTube. And if you have found this helpful, please give me a thumbs up, give me a like, make a comment if you will, so that I can answer any questions or at least get a bit of feedback. And subscribe if you haven't done, because I've got some fantastic episodes coming up with some amazing guests that you do not want to miss. And on that note, I'm going to leave you with this. We only have one life as far as we know, and one body. Please look after it, because it is looking after you. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.